Hi everyone, and well, this is both a continuation of our previous videos on Tidal that we've been doing for more days than not for the past several months, and this is also the start of something kind of new. So as you can see, I actually have more than one window that I'm using in OBS, so this is a brand new era for me. So in addition to our title window, I'm also going to be doing more stuff directly in supercollider. So this video is probably going to be like a little shorter, and then we're going to have a daily or twice daily deep dives. Basically the point is I'm working on a project for doing procedural generation of supercollider synth devs. It's something I've done some work on, I've put together notes on, I've thought about a lot, I've researched, but now I need to actually finish it. And so that's the reason why my past few daily title videos have just been staring at code from the various synth devs that come with title, and then trying things out and trying to understand them a bit better. So basically, we're going to be looking at a number of these definitions. We're going to be trying things. We're going to be playing a lot, because a big part of what I need to do at this point is put pedal to the metal and actually try making tons of different synth devs as I'm feeling out the space. So for people who don't know what I mean by procedural generation, that's basically where you use code to create various artifacts. In this case, code that will sort of pseudo-randomly generate synthesizers that I can use as instruments for performances, creating eventually what I'll be doing in about a month and a half from now is giving a performance where I'm both the instruments and the performance itself are just all generated in the moment, right? I'm randomly generating instruments and then I'm improvising with the instruments I have. It should be fun. It'll probably be really difficult. I'm hoping I get good RNG on the day of the performance, or else it'll be really embarrassing. But that's actually where a lot of this stuff comes in here, is that when you're doing procedural generation, you don't want some kind of uniform randomness. You want to carve out a space of possibilities, because, there's I'm trying to remember who coined the phrase at the moment, actually, but there's the 1,000 bowls of oatmeal problem with procedural generation, which is that it's very easy to generate a large quantity of things that are functionally boring. They are uninteresting. They don't differ from each other in a meaningful way, even though technically they are distinct. What we want to do is generate things that are meaningfully different. We want to generate things that actually have proper musicality. Because part of the problem here is, with any procedural generation project, especially something like creating musical instruments, we need to strike a balance between constraining our space of possibilities so small that things all become slight variations of the same thing. And we also need to make sure we're not leaving the space so large that you're going to get mostly noise. Because if you were to pick a random function that's made up of some, let's assume that we're dealing with the space of functions that is made up by a finite superposition of sine waves. Okay, it could be a very large finite number, but let's assume finite. There's some first off, that's an infinite set of functions. That's just infinite, assuming we keep everything to a countable set of coefficients, right? If we allow the full real numbers, obviously it's not even countably infinite, but let's assume we're keeping it to finitely representable coefficients of some big polynomial. That's still an infinite number of functions, most of which are probably completely uninteresting. So we want to actually, and when we're also combining that with the fact that we're using not just signal generators, like the basic oscillators in supercollider, we also want to make use of the built-in filters and things like that, and combining those and doing various more complicated modulations. It's probably the most likely thing you would get is just something that sounds terrible. So with procedural generation projects, and I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I have done a few weird projects at this point, and I feel like a general lesson you can always take from them is that you need to create a bunch of examples by hand. And I think this is advice I've seen people actually give. Make sure you understand the domain space by trying to make a bunch of the things that you want to generate. So that's what the videos over the next probably couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, are going to be, is just as I'm working on my generator code, which I'll eventually be posting examples of that, performances with that, in the lead up. But for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm mostly going to be posting examples of, okay, let's try making a synthesizer, and let's experiment. Let's try modifying the ones that already exist in that come with tidal, or things that are sort of built out of basic parts in supercollider, and let's just play and see what we can do and see what we can make. And so that's going to be a lot of what these videos are going to be for the next month. And part of the problem is that this feels a little bit like a dark arts to me still, and so hopefully part of the artifact that I can produce at the end of all of this is maybe just a nice write-up to writing synth defs that are compatible with tidal and for different purposes, because it's not super well documented. There's one video that is really, really good related to there's a video Eris Fairbanks did last year, I think, maybe 2 years ago now, and that is one of the few things that you can find that's really a clear presentation of okay, here, try making synth defs. So let's make more of that, right? Let's create more examples, do more tutorials, let's try advanced things, let's do weird things, let's see what we can actually make. Because one of the things I've been learning is that looking through a lot of the synth defs that come with tidal, even more complicated things like the Super Hammond synth, are not actually that many lines of code at the end of the day. A lot of these things are really just fairly simple recombinations of existing oscillators and filters. So that bodes well for what I want to do. But the question is how do we consistently create things that both sound different and sound good most of the time? And that's going to be what we're filming. That's going to be our journey for a bit. And I hope that's interesting. At the very least, this is going to be sort of holding me accountable to actually learning all of this and doing it and not procrastinating. Anyone who knows me can feel free to bother me about this. And yeah. So I'll end this introductory video here, and then the next one after that is going to be actually creating, playing with some things I've already started messing with and talking about it and seeing what else we can do with it. Okay.